Thank you, Mr. President. I rise today to discuss a new development on the religious freedom legislation. It's kind of like the old game whack-a-mole. Each time you knock one of these arguments down, they come up with something even more ridiculous. And yesterday, I really think maybe we have finally hit bottom. Because yesterday what the paid lobbyist for some of the opponents had to say about this bill is that it was going to somehow empower the Ku Klux Klan and reverse Georgia's anti-mask act. And I want to respond to this because of all the things that have been said about this bill, that it's a license to discriminate, that we're somehow empowering child abusers, to suggest that we would make common cause with hate-filled, racist groups is perhaps the most offensive allegation that's been made. I remember growing up in Columbus and my father driving me past what used to be a department store. And he told me about growing up in a city where there were separate water fountains depending on the color of your skin. He told me about growing up in a society where people were considered less than a person because of the color of their skin. And I grew up understanding that every person is entitled to dignity and respect and equal treatment under the law. That's why I went to law school. It's why I swore an oath before I came into this body as an attorney to represent people and demand equal treatment under the law. But let's talk about the allegation. Mr. Bowers represented the state in a case involving the constitutionality of the Anti-Mask Act. And as a wise lawyer once told me, if somebody's making claims citing a case, you ought to go read the case. So I've got the opinion here in front of me. We've talked a lot about what is a compelling state interest here in Georgia. This is an opinion of the Georgia Supreme Court. And they said the state's interest furthered by the Anti-Mask Act lie at the very heart of the realm of legitimate governmental activity. Safeguarding the right of the people to exercise their civil rights and to be free from violence and intimidation is not only a compelling interest, it is the General Assembly's affirmative constitutional duty. I think that should clear up this entire debate. So I do appreciate Mr. Bowers drawing this case to my attention. The court went on to say something else that's pretty relevant about this debate. They said fear is one of the things that makes people run the other way, puts people in a position so they won't register to vote, they won't take part in political activities. I would submit to you that the legal campaign being waged in courts against people of faith is to do exactly that, is to make them afraid of participating in our process. And I'll just close with this. There was a case in Canada where there were far left activists saying that you couldn't operate a law school at a religious affiliated university. And this actually went all the way up to a Canadian appellate court. And the appellate court, in affirming that private religious institution's right to have a law school, said this: for many people in a secular society, religious freedom is worse than inconsequential. It actually gets in the way. It's the dead hand of the superstitious past, reaching out to restrain more important secular values, like equality, from becoming real equality. A more progressive society, on that view, would not permit any incursions by religion into public life, or would at least limit those incursions to those by religions that have belief systems and practices that are more consonant with mainstream morality. The discomforting truth is that religions with views that many Canadians find incomprehensible or offensive abound in a liberal and multicultural society. The law protects them and must carve out a place where they can not only exist, but flourish. That's the debate we're having about Senate Bill 129. Is Georgia going to remain a place where we carve out an area in the law where people of faith can not only exist, but flourish. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the will.